Okay, we'll be live in a second. Okay, you're recording.
What did you think of school?
Did you like school? Did you hate it?
Oh, well, I always thought school was pretty good. I always liked school, and I liked high school. I played in the band. I played an E-flat alto saxophone, and I played in the band. I was in the band 4 years, and that was uh, pretty good in those days, you know. You had to learn to play the instrument and then play. So I started out as a freshman, was able to get in, and so I played in the band 4 years. What was your parents' philosophy about school? Well, I don't know.
They didn't have to tell you to study.
Well, not necessarily, no. It wasn't. I wasn't an A student necessarily. I got some A's occasionally, but I just was an average student and took what I had and never thought about fighting for it to make those real good grades, you know. And they never pushed me on that. So, when and how did you learn to drive? Well, let's see. I learned to drive. I don't know. At home we had a pickup truck which I drove sometime out toward Brown County. um, I say sometimes I would take somebody. Well, I did this a couple of times where I would take somebody that had bought things at the grocery store and they didn't have any way except walking, and I'd take them west of Waymansville, past Lutheran Lake, just a little bit past Lutheran Lake out there, and it was out in Brown County then, see, and they'd get out and take the groceries, and I'd turn around and go back to Waymansville. So I did that as a kid, and then I learned my mom and dad taught me to drive the car, and so once I got into high school, wasn't too long before I was able to get a license to drive with somebody else, and then after I don't know how many months, but a few months, like then you could go in for a test. They'd give you somebody would go out with I don't know who it was, but either a police officer or somebody at the license bureau would go out with you and just drive around a little bit before you give you a license, before you're able to buy a license. So that's how I learned to drive. Did you go on any hot dates when you were young? Well, that was later when I was older. She said when I was young. Well, I had dates in high school, and one of my uh, gals that I dated some was 3 years, I think 3 or 4 years younger than I was, and she was a freshman, I guess it was. She was a freshman, I believe, when I was a senior, and I dated her some, and we'd go to the movies, you know, and that was always exciting. And I remember going to the fair with her once. Fair, you know where Fair Oaks Mall is over here?
Yeah.
They used to have county fair, like you have out
Like outside.
at your way now, you know. They used to have the county fair right there where the Fair Oaks Mall is. And that's where it was.
Is that where the name Fair Oak comes from?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Fair Oaks Mall. It was the fair, and there were oak trees there, you know, around. So I guess that's probably how they got the name. Okay, let's see. Did you live it up before you got married?
Did you do anything wild and crazy?
Oh, probably did, but I'm not sure what. But it was all wild and crazy before you got married. Well, when and how did you meet your spouse? Okay.
Do you know this one?
Huh?
Do you know this one?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Well, I met Greta. Let's see. I guess Greta, met you on a blind date, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Charlotte Aldenhagen was dating. Well, Charlotte was dating Bob Aldenhagen at the time, and Bob and I were close friends. You know, lived out there close together. Of course, I lived in Waymansville, and he lived just a half a mile north of Waymansville. So we'd come into Columbus a lot together, you know, back in those days. And Charlotte, Bob, I guess, had a date or something, and she was going to have me go out with somebody with them, you know. And the other gal, I'm not sure it was going to be Greta to start with. It was supposed to be somebody, and the gal couldn't go or something, so I think they both belonged to the same sorority, so she got Greta fixed up to date me, see. So then we went out to eat someplace, I think it was, in Bloomington. So Bob and I, well, anyway, that's how I met her to start with, you know. Oh.
Is it working?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Why did you decide to have children?
Why would you do such a thing?
Did your children do anything dumb or crazy when they were growing up? Well, sir, why did you decide to have children? Well, we didn't have children real early. We finally did, but we were both teaching, and I forget how long it was, but then after a while, let's see, we got married in 1947, I guess it was. And let's see.
Dad was born in 56.
Yeah. So it was almost 8 or 9 years before we had a child.
Were you busy, or were you...
Well, I can't remember. Let's see.
Did you want to have some money saved up first?
Never thought about that. I don't think. I guess we might have, but you know, I can't remember why. Maybe Greta will know why, but you know, we just to get along, to get around, you had to have, well, you know, you had to have a house, and you had to have different things, and we finally got a house, and let's see, so when we had one, and then got the second gal, you know, the second one. Did your children do anything dumb or crazy when they were growing up? Oh, can't think of anything dumb or crazy, but you know, they kept us alert. We had to be alert to kind of keep up with them, but they did real well. Okay, well, let's see. Where and when did you go on vacation? Well, that was one thing that we liked about teaching. You know, you went, for the most part, you went to work, started in September, and you know, you get out. You usually have close to 3 months off in the summer, of course. So we liked that part because in the summertime we always did something. The first few summers we went out to Colorado. I went to school, but at least we were in Colorado, you know, and we could do things on the weekend, and it was kind of like it was a vacation away from the work that you had. See, so we spent several summers there in Colorado going to school, and that's of course I got a degree there finally. But then after that, we always liked to go places in the summertime, and that's why we had first we had a tent where we could take along and we could camp out. Then we got a wagon that where you could a trailer, you know, that you could with the tent on it, you could pop up and you could camp out. Real nice with that. And finally, we got this was about the last year that we were going to school in Colorado. We got a trailer that was a small trailer that you could live in, you know, that you could pull behind your car and then park it, and then you could go where you wanted and come back. And we had that, so we enjoyed that very much. So we went to vacations primarily in Colorado at first, a lot. Went down to Florida a couple of times, but pulled a trailer and then we'd have a place to stay, you know. Okay. How did you feel when your children started dating, driving, or going away to school? Well, it was just part of growing up, and it was driving was an easy thing because I had the schools had something to teach how to drive, you know, for kids, and both kids had that. And how do you feel when your children started dating? Well, I don't know. We just didn't, never thought too much about that, I guess. It just sort of grew up on us. And then what about them going away to school? Well, there again, where were they going to go to school? Well, and both got interested in Colorado. And so Bruce went out there for a little while, and Tina went to school out there for some. But Bruce, then after having been in Colorado, got excited about beekeeping, so then he went over to Ohio State or over that direction someplace. Went to school there a little bit, and Tina went out to Colorado. Now let's see.
Did you move it?
I got a fish.
Okay.
Is that it?
If you want to stop at any point in time, if you're tired, that's fine.
You change jobs often. No, I didn't. I was, once I got into the school system here, I just kind of stayed and moved around some, but not much. Same type of work. And when and why did you retire? Well,
Should I get that? Hello, this is Kiati. This is Heather. Okay, I can figure that out. All right, bye. Oh yeah. All right, okay.
okay. When and why did you retire? Well, I retired when was, I think it must have been about 1975 that I retired from teaching and from the schools as principal. Then I sold books for a couple of years, dictionaries and encyclopedias and things like that, where I traveled over southern Indiana to different cities and tried to talk to people there, primarily the schools and libraries. Okay, that's what I did after retiring from the school system, and I retired because I was eligible at the age, first. And were you excited about grandchildren? Well, yes, we were excited about grandchildren. I remember one little red-headed girl that we thought was great grew up to be a nice young lady. Oh, yeah, well, we always liked our grandchildren. Sure did. And we were excited about them, and still are. Okay. Do you have any grandchild stories? Tell us what you remember and what you thought about our wars.
This is just your opinion on various things. Like if there's one specifically that you want to talk about or don't.
World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Gulf One, Gulf Two, and the war on terrorism. Well, let's see. I'll skip the one that says, tell us what you remember and what you thought of. Oh, do you have any grandchild stories? Well, I can't think of any right now, but you probably know as many as I can think of. So, tell us what you remember and what you thought about our wars. Well, I don't know much about the Korea War, Vietnam War, Gulf One or Gulf Two. I mean, I remember about it, but World War II, of course, I was in World War II, and I was in the armored infantry. And I was a squad leader of a half track, and I was in charge of a half track. We had a
Those were like they had wheels on the front and treads treads on the back.
The wheel, they had wheels in front and tracks in the back. They were tracks, but it rode like a car, like a truck, but actually you could go out on the ground. Didn't have to have a smooth road. See, you could drive lots of places. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
so I was you've heard this before, but like I said, I was in the armored infantry, and I went over to in the States first, of course, and I was up at the University of Detroit. Went to Fort Custer, Michigan, and then had basic training there, and wound up at University of Detroit. Was in the ASP program, and then after 2 semesters in that, I was down in Camp Biloxi in Louisiana, and then I went overseas to England, and from there, just about Christmas time or about that time of year, we went over to France, crossed the straits from England over to France, and up into Germany, and I was in the Belgium area and on the Siegfried line there, and
Holland. Were you in Holland?
I was in Holland. I was in France first, and we went up to Siegfried line and was over in Belgium, Holland, and Luxembourg, and up in that area, and then over into Germany, and then down to Czechoslovakia. And while there, the war ended, and I was able to travel to Paris, France, and London, England again, and then finally I got back and we came home. So that was it. Okay. We'll stop there, okay?
Alright.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, he was calling for you.